Offseason. Let's work. Hey, plotting my escape. This game riding niggas fake. Got a couple M's hiding in the safe. Imagination.
Welcome back, Turf Talks off-season episode, guys. This is our mock draft 1.0, Y Guy mock draft 1.0. We do have the boys back in the house here as always. Thank you guys for all being here today. But yes, the day has finally come. We are to that time of the year where we're talking about who's going to be picked in this next year's NFL draft. And there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of changes are happening and everything like that. Just to preface this first Y Guy mock draft 1.0 is officially coming out, I believe, like on Monday, which would be sometime before free agency opens up in general. So this is a pre-free agency mock draft. This is going to look totally different when we do it in, a few weeks after the fact there too. But hey, we have, I should say Wyatt has his 32 NFL picks that he thinks are going to be in this order, this next upcoming NFL draft. Guys, are we fans of the NFL draft? Yes or no?
Of course, brother.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
When your team makes the pick that you want. Other than that, if not, then I'm not a fan.
This is true. It could be sometimes one of the greatest nights of your life. As Seahawks fans, for myself, I've been very happy with how our drafts have gone the last 2 years. Some of you guys, though, maybe not as much, depending on how your team drafts, and that's kind of what makes the night so, I guess, so much anticipation in there is the best way to say it. So without further ado, guys, we have our official, Y Guy mock draft 1.0 here for you guys. And we're going to start off with our first overall pick here, guys. Wyatt, take it away.
All right, boys. With the first overall pick, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams. The 6'1", 215 quarterback is the best player in this draft, to somewhat people say. And I think the Bears are going to get rid of Justin Fields. I think he's a great fit in Oakland, and I think that's where he'll be headed. Now, let's go to number 2, the Commanders. They have let me down so many times over the years, but I think this year they'll do me right. You got to go get the best player in the draft with the number 2 overall pick. With the amount of free agents on the board, you got to go get Marvin Harrison Jr., the 6'4", 205 junior out of Ohio State. Best player in the draft by far. I mean, he's one of those players that are once in a lifetime, and you just got to go get him. Number 3. This one's going to be a little interesting for you boys. Malik Neighbors, wide receiver, LSU. Now, you're thinking, why aren't the Patriots going to go get a quarterback? Well, I'll tell you this. The Patriots have $128 million in cap space, and they just signed the Browns OC. Now, who was the quarterback for the Browns last year, boys?
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco. Who was the quarterback the year before that?
Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett. Good shit, Trey. Now, those two guys are very veteran deep guys, and they still have Mac Jones. Is that correct, boys?
This is true.
Now, let's look at this defense. Is this defense not a top 10 defense?
Could be.
Not last year.
Not last year, but coming off injuries. Everyone's coming back now. When healthy, this defense is very tough. Now, we have $128 million. You go and spend $30 million of that on Joe Flacco, you actually have a really decent quarterback in the NFL, which is pretty nice. Yes, Trey, that's what he's going to be worth when you go and look at it.
$30 million for a 38-year-old quarterback?
For a 3-year deal, if you want to look at it, yes. But the Patriots are in a position where they can win now, and really they're only missing one pretty much fast target, and that's Malik Neighbors. They still have Mike Gesicki. They still, I'm pretty sure they still have Hunter Henry. Matthew Judon is still there, and Christian Gonzalez coming back. I mean, this team is right now in a position where they want to win now, and I think they can.
They're with a new coach, though.
What's that?
It's hard to do with a brand new coach.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But Gerard Mayo has been in the building for years. I mean, he knows what it's about, and I don't doubt with this decision by them. All right, on to the number 4. Now that 2 of the receivers are gone, obviously you guys can guess. Rome Odunze, Washington. Now, this is just the next best receiver. I mean, Kyler Murray's staying. They don't need a quarterback, and this is going to be the next best receiver in this draft. On to number 5. This is a flashy pick by the Chargers, and they're going Brock Bowers, tight end, Georgia. I mean, John loves his tight ends. He loves Vern Davis when he was a 49er, and I think they could really use Brock Bowers. It was either him or Joe Alt. I couldn't decide, but I think they're going to go the flashy pick here with Brock Bowers as John Harbaugh's first pick as a Charger. All right, next, Giants. Jane Daniels. Second quarterback taken off this list. I think he fits Brian Daboll, and he's a veteran quarterback. So like he's someone that can take on the New York media, not listen to that. And I think he's the most experienced, he's the most game ready quarterback in my eyes in this draft. I mean, 40-4 is all the numbers that you need to look at as a passer, plus 1,100 yards rushing and 10 tutties. All right. Number 7, Titans. Joe Alt. I mean, they need help everywhere, and why not get the next best guy in the draft? I mean, this guy is really a top 3 guy, but since everyone else needs position players, they're going to get Joe Alt laying to him, which is, in their eyes, a perfect situation. Number 8, the Falcons. Now, this one was a little tricky. Dallas Turner. I think that Kirk Cousins is going to the Falcons. I think that's a done deal right now, and I think they just need to go get the best edge rusher in the draft, who's 6'4", 240, and runs a 4.46. So he's the next best player in the draft. Number 9, we're going back to Chicago. They just used their franchise tag on Jalen Johnson. Way to get him back, but now you only get him for a year, so now you got to replace him. Who better replace him than Nate Wiggins? A 6'2", 185 corner, runs a 4.28 out of Clemson. He's the best corner in this draft and would be a perfect tandem for Jalen. All right, number 10, Jets. Hoofda. O-line needs help everywhere. Exact. Next best guy out of Penn State, Fashahu. He's 6'7", fucking 240 or 286, and he's the next best guy on the list. What did I say? I don't know how to pronounce his name. Good luck, boys.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right.
It's just how you were like so aggressive with how you said his weight,
Oh, I mean, he's a big boy. He can hold that edge very well. All right, number 11, the Vikings. Now, losing Kirk is a major blow. Now you're thinking, do they go get a veteran or do they sign JJ? I think they go with the young guy, JJ. You got to sign Justin Jefferson to a long-term deal. You got to get him signed. Best player in the NFL right now, and you can't do it with someone that is making that kind of money as a quarterback. So number 11 will be JJ McCarthy. Oh, wait, no, shit. I had Drake May. Fuck, I changed that.
Yeah,
all right, sorry. Number 11 is Drake May. I totally forgot we changed that. But
all right, well, you can't say that after you say one of this.
Just start again. Just be like, with the Vikings, number 11.
All right, with the number 11 pick, we got the Vikings. Obviously, needing to replace Kirk Cousins now that he's going to Atlanta. We got Drake May. I mean, 6'4", 230. Prototypical quarterback is going to be a great pair with Kevin O'Connell, and I think those two will set the NFL on fire. Number 12, Denver. Obviously, they just cut Russ, so now what do you do with him? Now this is where J.J. McCarthy comes into play, and I think with his leadership status, Sean Payton and him will somehow find a way to get things done. I mean, they're rebuilding their offense right now. He's got good receivers in Cortland and Jerry Jeudy, and I think this is a really good fit for Sean Payton. All right, with the 13th pick, the Raiders. Now, Raiders are building a culture over there, and they're going to go with Teron Arnold out of Alabama, redshirt sophomore. He's a 6 foot, 196, 5 interceptions. He's kind of got that dog in him. He's really presses people on the line. He's kind of like a Marshawn Lattimore is what people are comparing him to. And he's going to fit that Raiders scheme very well, I think. Now, number 14, Spence. You're going with Talis Fuga, offensive tackle, Oregon State. Now, Trevor Penning isn't working out, the 2022 first rounder. This is just a plug-and-play guy, and I think he's going to be a long-term starter for you guys for a couple of years. Now with the 15th pick, the Indianapolis Colts select Kool-Aid. Oh, yeah! McKinstry, 6'1", 195, corner out of Alabama. Their defense in the secondary was atrocious last year, and they need a lockdown corner. He's just a complimentary pick for them. All right, on to the next. Number 16, Seattle Seahawks, Zach. Leonard Williams, need him back. But if you don't, Jarrett Verse, 6'4", 260. You can either go a D tackle here or Jarrett Verse, which this guy is the next best edge rusher on the list. I mean, he's he stands for itself. I mean, he runs a 4.5. It's quick off the line. Best hands in this draft.
I also saw that the Seahawks GM does not want to draft a quarterback. He doesn't want to take 2 quarterbacks in the past 14 years. He thinks that's a red flag. That's your guys' GM.
I like the way your GM thinks.
Because in the past almost 2 decades, we cannot draft more than 2 quarterbacks.
Buddy thinks we're the Green Bay Packers with our quarterbacks.
Yeah. He's like, Gino's only getting younger. He's like, we'll keep him. 38 mil, right?
How old is Drew Lock over there? He's got to be at least 27 now.
He's like in
Probably,
his
yeah.
upper 20s. Yeah.
Well, you still
It's
got
okay.
Bo Nix and like Michael Penix out there.
It's okay. It's okay.
Spencer Rattler, maybe.
Late third rounders in there. With the 17th pick, the Jacksonville Jags select Brian Thompson Jr. LSU, 6'4", 205, has 4.33 speed. Speaks for itself. I mean, they got to replace Calvin Ridley, and I think this is a very complimentary pick. Yeah, they didn't use the franchise tag on him. They used it on Josh Allen, Trey. Anyways, at 18, the Bengals select J.C. Latham. Just lost Jonah Williams to free agency, and this is just a plug-and-play guy. He's 6'6", 360, basically a opposite of Orlando Brown as a right tackle. So this is just one of those guys that you just need to get. The Rams select Quinton Mitchell, Toledo. This guy is 6 foot, 196, runs a 4.43, and the Rams secondary is also atrocious, so they just need help back there. They could either go safety there as well.
Good word choice.
All right, Trey.
You better not mess this one up.
Zach hit it.
Probably
I'll hit it for you.
With the 20th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Amarius Mims, offensive tackle, Georgia. Now, he is 6'8", 340. Basically, what you guys had in Broderick Jones last year, the Steelers want to do the same this year. And every single board that I've looked at has this guy going to you guys as like a perfect match made in heaven. So, and especially with you returning Najee and probably not going after a veteran quarterback, you need to protect Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph back there.
Not Trey
might not like it, but that's who I had too.
Nice.
It's the safest pick.
We think we have more important needs.
Why it's 1 for
offensive
20 with
line.
Dalen.
But maybe a center, since we just released ours.
Yeah, but I mean,
Maybe he can play center too.
It's true.
Other than Broderick didn't play well.
6'8" center. That guy's a big boy.
We'll slide someone down. We'll slide someone over.
He can't even throw to his receivers now. Imagine a fucking blocker in front of him. Yeah, good luck.
Be awesome.
At 21, the Dolphins select Lalitu Latu, 6'5", 265. Chubb is still out for half the year, or they can go the D tackle here, but I went Latu. Great edge rusher. They just lost Christian Wilkins to free agency, unfortunately, but I think this will be a complimentary pick.
The Saints were actually going to go for this guy that I was seeing.
Latu?
Yeah, I'm not saying this
I
because
just didn't
Cam
think
Jordan,
if they had faith in Trevor Panning or not. So,
well, Cam Jordan's about to retire, so they're just going to put him down there.
Didn't this guy
Makes
win
sense.
the Edge Rusher Award in college football? Whatever it's
Yes.
called.
Yes, Philly. Now, this pick is solely based off of just losing Jason Kelsey, and they want to replace that man in the middle. This guy, Zach Frazier. He's 6'3", 310 pounds. He is a dog. Out of West Virginia, played in his last final game of his regular season, final drive. They were down a touchdown, and he played with a broken leg, continued to play on that drive, and they ended up scoring, which is nuts. He's got that dog in him. He's got that Philly blood in him, and he's just a perfect match made in heaven, I think.
Some may say he is Terrell Owens.
He could be.
A little heavier.
Oh, and he's a 2-time wrestling state champion.
He's
That's
white.
a dog.
Easy. Wyatt, your second favorite team? Go ahead.
Let's go down to Houston. So when I was looking at this, I was thinking, well, that defense is pretty good. They could add someone else. Or they can go the offensive route and go Adonai Mitchell out of Texas. 6'4", 196, runs a 4.34. Just think Tank Dell, Nico, and Stroud, and him, and Schultz. Now, not to mention, they've been wanting to add just think of that offense, and then I've been looking in some rumors, and they want to add Saquon. So when you have a starting 5 like that, it's going to be a tough day for anyone going against that offense. I think that's the best pick for him. And now the Cowboys, losing Tyrone Smith, need to replace him. Troy Fautuna out of Washington, out of Washington. That's pretty much it for that one. They just need to replace him. That's all I got. Tyrone Smith he's a big piece that was a big part of the Cowboys offense. You need to replace that right away, especially when you have a quarterback making as much as Dak. So let's go to the team up north, the Packers. 25th pick, they select Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. I mean, he's 6'1", 207, had 5 interceptions last year, 3 returned for a touchdown. Very versatile, runs in the slot, outside, can play safety. He's just that do-it-all scheming type of player, and he's a great fit for the Packers. With the 26th pick, the Bucs select Chop Robinson, edge rusher, Penn State. Runs a 4.48, 6'3", 250, and is very comfortable in dropping into coverage. Todd Boyle's type of player, and he's also probably the best available player at this time for the Bucs to pick up in the first pick or first round.
All-time football name.
Yeah, it is actually a guess name.
And Kool-Aid. Oh,
yeah!
That's another good one.
27th pick, I'm going Darius Robinson. 6'5", 296, 4.49. He's just a plug-in player, best edge rusher at this time, and something the Cardinals need. Now, the Bills, it was a little tricky. With the 28th pick, they select Troy Franklin, Oregon receiver, runs a 4.41. He's 6'3", 187 pounds. They just lost Gabe Davis. I mean, with the receivers in this class, you could blindfold your eyes and throw it at a dartboard, and you can hit on any single one of these receivers. They're all fast, big. I mean, they all fit the prototype. I mean, this might be the best receiver draft that we've seen. We're going to see a lot of receivers go in this first round. So, obviously, at 29, we're going Byron Murphy for the Lions. Definitely need to beef up the middle. Was bottom tier in run stop, and it's just the next best player at that position, really, to be honest with you. He's a big boy, 330-some pounds. Big man in the middle.
Big guy.
All right, at 30, we got the Ravens. And they're going Peyton Wilson out of NC State. Now, this guy was a senior. He's 6'4", 238, runs a 4.43. One of the smartest minds at that inside linebacker position. Can replace Patrick Queen very well, I think, in my eyes, and he can cover down the field very well as well. At pick 31, we're going Ennis Rakestraw Jr. for the 49ers. God damn it, that laugh killed me. With the 31st pick, Niners select Ennis Rakestraw Jr., cornerback, 6 foot, 188 pounds, runs a 4.51, very physical. Niners losing Isaiah Oliver, and most of the other corners are on their final year of their contract. They got to start somewhere young, and they need a really good nickel cornerback right now, which that's someone who Ennis can be. Now with the last pick, the 32nd pick, and the Chiefs are some of the luckiest people ever for having this guy fall into their hands. Xavier Worthy out of Texas, the fastest man in the draft. And it's just like, of course, Andy Reid's going to utilize him the way that they need to, and he's going to be one of the best players like on that team. He's got great ball tracking skills, and I mean, obviously you guys saw track speed, so that's kind of hard to beat that pick.
All right. And that is all 32 in an easy, quick fashion and everything like that too. Guys, what are your initial thoughts? I know we talked about like, what's your favorite part? What's the part that you hate the most about Wyatt's first mock draft 1.0? Obviously, it's out there. This is Wyatt's opinion, and he has the right to have these opinions, and we, as us, may have the right to agree with them or disagree with them. Wyatt, anything?
Sorry if I didn't clarify some of the scenarios either. Like the kind of scenarios that I'm thinking in my head of where I could pair up offensive players. So that's just fine. Where I think what they should do with that pick.
I personally think your Patriots take is a little hot with the whole Joe Flacco for $30 million. I mean, the dude's on the literal last leg of his career. He was sitting on the couch for most of the year last year. I think it's probably pretty obvious they're going to take a quarterback, but that's me. That's my opinion. But yeah, that's. And I also do not like the Steelers pick. I want Cooper DeJean.
Yeah. I agree with you, Trey. I think the fact that the top 5 picks are one quarterback, receiver, tight end. I think that's a bit aggressive when it comes to who probably is available out there who needs a quarterback, especially some of those teams like the Commanders and the Patriots who have a high pick that have a chance of getting a generational quarterback. One of the 3 generational quarterbacks. We have other good quarterbacks in this draft too. But you're talking about Jaden Daniels and Drake May and Caleb Williams being on the board in those first 3 picks. I would like to think that those 2 teams, if they're going to pick that high still, they're going to pick one of those quarterbacks. And if they're not going to get a quarterback, they're going to draft or trade down potentially for it, because I don't see them wasting their second or third on just receivers.
And I get like Marvin Harrison is like also a generational talent at receiver.
He is.
But
he's the only one that
you need a quarterback to be able to. You need a quarterback to be able to get him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, we had one that was leading the league in passing yards.
Also,
you're not paying Joe Flacco $30 million. I'm sorry.
What's that?
I could see it like Russell Wilson, or like maybe they go try to get.
I could also see that. I could see him going for Russell Wilson, especially since Dan Quinn is now the head coach. Especially now that the Broncos have to pay $39 million of his salary, and someone else has to only pay him for the veterans minimum, and he's only going to be making $1 million for a year, which makes Russell Wilson also probably the number 1 free agent at this moment. He's 5 years younger than Kurt. He's not coming off an Achilles tear. He's still a top 10 quarterback in this league. I mean, he proved it last year with his numbers. They were better than Mahomes with less games, and he's shown nothing but that he can still do it, and everyone still doubts him.
I just think personally, like, yeah, they can go get a quarterback, or they can get a rookie quarterback that is probably one of the best quarterbacks in the draft and could be one of the best quarterbacks, like generational quarterbacks, like Zach said, and then spend all the money that they already have on key players, like role players, and just fill up their roster with good players if they have that much money, instead of wasting a shit ton of money on a quarterback, because obviously quarterback is the most expensive thing on your team. And there's not a lot of young quarterbacks out there.
So what it comes down to is how confident you are in Mac Jones. He went 10-6 as a rookie. He's had 3 different offensive coordinators in 3 different years.
Last year was evident that he's not.
I'm not defending the guy, but I'm not saying his situation was any easy on him. Now, granted, you got to be pretty damn good to go 10-6 your first year and lead your team to a number 1 seed in your conference or in your division and make the playoffs.
Dylan, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts?
All right, yeah, I'd love to talk about mine finally. Wyatt's not the only one that does it. There's a bunch of analysts that do it. That's just what people think's going to happen, or people's opinions. You know, no one really knows besides the teams, and maybe information that people find out. But I had 13 out of the 32 that were the same as Wyatt. Not saying that your players were like completely off. I think like all 32 were the same players almost. They just were in different spots, which that's for the later rounds that's a toss-up. But what really was a shocker to me was that you put the receivers, those top 3 receivers, what were they, 2, 3, 4? You're either too confident in Sam Howell with picking
another thing, yeah.
Malik Neighbors before, because I think at a lock at 2, or no, you took Marvin Harrison at 2. Yeah, it's either you have too much faith in Sam Howell or you just love Marvin Harrison Jr. that much, which everyone does. He's a great player, but I just don't think. I think they need a quarterback right now, and I think they're going to take Drake May, and then I think Jaden McDaniels is going to follow. I think the top 3 are going to be quarterbacks, and then next 3 receivers. Cardinals are going to go after Marvin Harrison, especially if he doesn't get taken on the top 3, because they're keeping Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is going to have another person to throw to because Marquise Brown is gone. Then Malik Neighbors, is that who was your 5th?
Malik Neighbors.
Or no, that was it.
That was the next one. Was Malik Neighbors?
That's the Chargers, in which they probably would go after one of the top 3 guys and not.
Well, yeah, because the
I
picks
think they're going after linemen.
did the Bears and Chargers
that's
trade
what my
picks?
also idea was.
I had Brock Bowers going to the Chargers too. I think that's a good fit. And then the Giants, you had
Jaden
at
Daniels.
They had a
quarterback.
quarterback there too.
Jaden
Yeah.
Jaden
Daniels.
Daniels. I had a Dude going there, and then I think that
Odunze?
since
Adunze.
Drake May is already off, I did have JJ McCarthy going to the Vikings. I know Trey hates that, but me and Wyatt aren't the only ones thinking that. There's a lot of people thinking
I will
that JJ
say,
McCarthy
I
fits
will
them.
say that after the combine, he grew on me. Sorry, he grew on me a little. He is a little bit of a hype man, and I kind of liked it. But I also still don't know if I trust him.
That's fair. Spence, are you liking what you're seeing or disagreeing?
I think I agree with Dalen with the Vikings taking JJ because I've heard so much about that. Having 2 JJs on your team's crazy. I know the Saints one that was a little different. And I'm with Trey. I don't agree with the wide receiver to the New England. And then with the lineman, it's not a flashy pick, but it's a pick you need. And I think all but the later linemen, you could literally flip around because linemen are such they're not like your quarterback expensive, but they're so expensive for the years and what they do to that team and all that stuff. So it does help to get your linemen and stuff. But other than that, wide receivers it's depends on who, what, and where everyone goes during this stuff.
I'm gonna say this, like, other than Joel Alt, like, if you want to look at offensive tackles, 2 through 6 all interchangeable. Like, that's how good they are. So, like, if you can't really pinpoint and decide which team's gonna go where.
I think with the Chargers, I think the Brock Bowers, he's a good fit too. But like with like Harbaugh is known for his he loves to run the ball, right? And like they just lost, but you go get a lineman, strengthen up the lineman, and then in the later picks, John Harbaugh takes his golden boy, Blake Corum.
Good.
Ooh, how about that?
Eckler's
That's spicy.
definitely
How about
Eckler's
that?
definitely
Spicy, but I don't think that'll happen.
Eckler's showing his
You don't think
age
so?
a lot, especially this last year. So there's a chance that he might do that.
Did he? Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah. Yep.
I was just gonna mention 2 more players that
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think I was on the same page with Wyatt, which is kind of crazy that I have Cooper DeJean going to the Packers because I think he just fits that team so much as what they need right now. He can literally play any nickel, cornerback, free safety. I mean, he can play everything.
Dude's a freak.
I know Trey wants him at 20, but I think the Steelers need more than just a cornerback. And then the other one was
More help offensively first, buddy.
the other one was
I want
the
to wait till
Chiefs.
after free
If
agency.
the Chiefs get Xavier Worthy at 30,
Exactly.
that might be the biggest steal in the draft.
I just don't know if he's gonna fall that far. Like, yeah, obviously he fits perfectly, like a perfect Tyreek.
Well, I know that's what I'm saying. If
I
they
think
do
he drops
get
that
him,
far. A lot of teams, I feel like he's kind of shiny right now because he just ran that 4.21. Like a lot of teams are like, oh,
He
we
might
gotta take a
pass
look at
maybe
this guy.
2 trade. Now that I'm looking at it, he might pass Troy Franklin, but he just doesn't have the size, and that's kind of what the Bills are looking for. And Brian Thompson, 6'4", 205, 4.33, had
Bills?
17 touchdowns last year. Is way better
where
than
did you
his
have
neighbor.
Brian? Where did you have Brian Thompson?
Brian Thompson, I have him
Early.
going to the Jags at 17.
Yeah, I think that might be too early. I had him at 30 going to the Ravens. So that might have been one of the bigger ones
Well,
that
the Jags are losing Calvin Ridley, so like I said, this guy 4.33 at 6'4", 205, had 68 receptions, 1,200 yards, and 17 tutties. With Malik
What about
Neighbors.
Keon Coleman?
Keenan Coleman's too slow, Trey. He runs a 4.61. He's 6'4", 215, so he's got his size, but he ran a 4.61, and he has a teammate, Johnny Wilson, ran a 4.5 something, and he's 6'7", which was a little faster than he was. But Keenan Coleman, I do like out of Florida State.
I love him.
So
A late third rounder or late second round,
Third round.
early third.
someone who I
So
think
what I'm gonna say-
that you had. Oh, go ahead, Spencer.
what I was gonna say about 40 times the dash, the shuttle, all that, it does not really matter what. If your speed's
Speed
point
matters.
10 off, it doesn't matter where you're you're looking at the player.
Well, the thing is, you might be better at route running even than just running a straight 40-yard dash.
I was gonna say,
There's
yeah,
different
40
type
isn't
of receivers.
football speed. That's like
Yeah.
track
Okay, but
speed. It's like the 40.
when you're looking at these guys, though, with the size of someone that's 6'4", 205, and they put up 4.33, you're like, oh, damn, this guy, even in pads, is going to be fast with that size.
Okay,
That's
but
what
then
you're
you
getting.
look at the dude that goes 4.33, and then he's fast as shit, right? He's fast, but dude can't tackle. You're not going to draft him just because he's faster.
We're talking
Like,
receivers here.
Well,
He's
either
just
way.
making a point though. Speed isn't what everything is going to matter on like the overall.
No,
player.
it
What you're
helps.
saying is
Everything
this dude ran a 4.61, the other dude ran a 4.4 something, and it's like that's why he's getting drafted.
There's clearly a difference
And-
between Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman is by far the better receiver compared to Johnny Wilson, even though he's faster. Keon Coleman is a very complete receiver, sure-handed,
Yeah.
great route runner. He's just not necessarily
Nice.
the fastest guy on the planet. I think he's still going to be a really solid receiver in this NFL, in the
Absolutely.
NFL, whichever team he goes to. I mean, he's a sure-handed catch
He's got
receiver.
swag.
That's all you can ask for is a guy
got that
that's going to
swag,
just
that
not drop
moxie.
it. I'd like to think of him as like an oversized Jarvis
Oh,
Landry.
Jarvis.
He's slower in
There's
general,
one
but the
soft
guy
guy.
caught everything. The guy was a sure-handed catch that, obviously a great route runner too, but it's just like he's even bigger yet than him, which I think is even another step on top of it. 6'4" is not a small receiver. That's a big ass receiver.
He's not.
Big-ass
And he's
receiver.
like 215, 220. So
And he's
like,
thick
he's got
too.
some-
He's not a.
he's got some
He's
speed
not
to
a.
him.
He's not a little toothpick. He's a little thickums
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
I think my biggest surprise in this Y guy mock draft was is his name Troy Franklin from Oregon. Going in the first round kind of blows my mind, especially how you love your fast receivers because he's not that fast. He's a good catcher, but I was surprised that I thought there was way better receivers that could go over him.
It was to the Bills. So the Bills just lost Gabe Davis. So I was just thinking, all right, who's a big receiver that they can go grab? Not granted, yeah, he's not the fastest guy out there with a 4.41, but like it's still pretty quick. And for 6'3", 187 pounds, he's basically a Gabe Davis lookalike, maybe a little lighter, but runs a little faster.
I thought they would take I think you might have had him though somewhere else, but I thought like Adonis Mitchell would be a good fit for the Bills too.
That's where I have Houston taking him. But like I said, Houston can either interchange that with another defensive guy.
There's
I
a
just
bunch
think
of
you
stuff
gotta-
that's a toss up.
Also, can we
So
give
what
a shout
what
out
do we
to
give a
Wyatt
rating?
for going to school on us with
Let's
the
say
pen
that
and
again.
paper? I would say shout out for Wyatt for going old school with the pen and paper. Not,
All right.
not taking it out on a word doc.
Old school pen and paper. Maybe
Just-
I take notes out here. I
Pen
got
and paper.
notes.
It's funny. No,
So
Dalen-
Zach, should we do
Go
like
ahead.
a grade scale of his draft?
that's what I was gonna
saying.
say. So
everyone give
let's
their
go ahead.
ranking.
Let's go ahead and give her a grade. Let's just do it in a good old fashioned schoolhouse letter
C+.
grading. All right, we're going through F all the way to A, and we're talking
Okay.
pluses and minuses. Okay, we're just gonna go through the list here. Trey, you start us. What was your grade?
I'm gonna go C+ because I just think your top 10 is a little off. Other than that, like you said, the last after the top 10, they're like interchangeable. They kind of play off each other what everyone takes. I just feel like the top 10 right now are pretty obvious, in my opinion, who is gonna go where. But
Mhm.
yeah,
All
C+.
Dalen.
I'm gonna go one above that. I'll give it a B minus. Just because based off the fact, like Trey was saying, that top 5 is, I think where some of us disagree with you on, but the rest, I mean, we had this 32 players, at probably about 30 of them were the same for top 32. So I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, no one ever really knows where someone's gonna go. So
Yeah. Spence.
So I agreed with the B minus. I was gonna say B minus, but then I was thinking about it, I'm like maybe he's like C+. But I'm gonna go just B. I'm gonna go B because it's not like a C list because who knows, and it's not an A list. So I'm just gonna go B.
I could go C.
He goes from
you go
a C plus to a
Yep.
B
Give him a
minus,
B.
and then he just breathes. Yeah.
Well, I agree with like some of them, and I know how hard it is to say, okay, this team's gonna get this team's gonna get this.
Yeah.
But then I'm also putting in you don't know what's going to happen in a couple weeks or months, or if someone
and free agency too. Like we're doing
That's
this
what I'm
before free
saying.
agency even hits. So.
Yeah, like say
It's
this,
tough, but
like
yeah.
say they go to their physicals, whatever, and like in the NBA, I think it was last year, 2 years ago, the guy that had like that bone like syndrome, whatever it was, that he couldn't even play basketball. He got 5 days before the draft,
Oh, from
like that
Baylor?
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Like you never know. So I'll put it at a B. I was gonna go hard on you, but I'll go easy.
Gotcha. I'll go hard on you. Give me a C. All right. So let me tell you why.
What a dick.
So I know, right? Couple things that I saw on this to give you a C, Wyatt. The top 10 we already talked about. I'm not going to be a dead. We know it's a little bit off from what I think a lot of people are thinking. And it doesn't matter what other people think. I personally think it's a little bit off. Not that the players are not correct. They're just not in the right order, in my opinion. I think Drake May is going to be off the board a hell of a lot earlier than 11. I mean, the Vikings would be chomping at the bits if they see Drake May still on the board at 11. I mean, that'd be pretty awesome in my opinion. But
it made sense because, like, really, I guess if you guys really do think that the first 3 guys need quarterbacks, I didn't. So, like, the only other team really that came down to was the Giants needed a quarterback, and that was literally it.
And I honestly agree with where that lands. Because you never know what the Patriots do because they have so much cap. They could just get a vet guy. And I'm not saying it's Joe Flacco. They could get a Russell Wilson though. They could get some of those guys too with it. I could see that. I think the Commanders are getting quarterback though. I think it's almost a given at this point. But the other reason why I gave you CeeLo Wyatt, and it's not that it's wrong. I think there's just a couple teams in the back half of this draft that some of the philosophy, I think they need something more than what they're picking for, I guess. Maybe there is a position gap at that spot that they picked in this one, but I think maybe there's a couple teams that have a higher need in another position that they could have gotten. I think one of them, like you mentioned, Trey, you've been struggling with your center for so long. Your center is dog shit, like straight up dog shit. I think you guys easily should have gone. Yeah, it's a tackle, good pickup regardless. I think you probably go Jackson Powers Johnson, a guy that probably should be on this list. And if it's not anybody anywhere else, I think he probably should be on this first round draft pick. If it's not just for the Steelers, it could be for a couple other teams. I know Zach Frazier went to the Eagles, also looking for a center there too.
He could also go to the Rams too, Jackson Powers.
It's true. So like him as an example, I think the same thing with the Jaguars. I see the importance of the receiver there too. Is he the right receiver? I don't know. That's kind of the question with it. It's like I don't know if that's the best available receiver for them. If I'm looking at some other ones here though. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I just don't think like teams that already have 2 established receivers need to draft a receiver in a first round.
That was the other one with the Houston.
The Jags still have Kirk and Zay Flowers. Zay Jones.
Zay Jones, who actually had a great season last year too. Both of them had pretty good seasons in my opinion. I mean, Zay I think actually had a better one in my.
But Zach,
Christian Kirk was hurt.
In my eyes, Brian Thompson's the 4th best receiver.
And that's fine. But the next one, though, that I think, Wyatt, just to kind of cap this off, the Texans do not need to stack up 3 receivers deep.
No, they don't. They definitely don't. Like the
Seahawks
cool.
did it, and honestly, it's great to have, but it's hurting JSN right now to have 2 other receivers above him when he clearly is a number 2 or even number 1 receiver himself. It's like it's not needed. It's not. You don't need 3 weapons.
In that situation, like that, it's a little different because Lockett's older.
Exactly.
Nico Collins and Tank Dell are both young.
They're like
they're both on their rookie contract.
They're also under 6'1".
That's fine.
Nico Collins is not under 6'1".
Adding Mitchell is adding.
Nico Collins is a big dude.
Oh yeah,
Nico
I'm
Collins
not saying
like 6'2",
but like
6'3",
a 6'4" receiver on the outside.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just saying what my thoughts are on it, Wyatt. But no, overall it still is good. I think, like you said, guys. I have a bad feeling about it. The fact that Xavier Worthy, he's probably going to fall to the 32 pick. I think people are still gun shy with John Ross not working out at all and getting drafted so high. they're like, speed doesn't mean everything for them. But Xavier Worthy, you put him in the right situation with Andy Reid, who knows how to use his players in the best way possible to get the best.
They need someone better than Wyatt's guy, Kadarius Toney.
That's true. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's officially Why Guys Mock Draft 1.0. I think it's pretty solid all around, guys. Good and up for Wyatt. Appreciate you for doing that, man. It's good. We'll
take a bow.
Well, again, this is pre-free agency though, so this is going to be outdated in about a couple days.
A week.
That's about all it is. All right.
Monday's tampering, so like they'll start hearing more.
When
rumors.
you guys are seeing this on Monday, today is the official day when teams can start talking with people and signing people. So the biggest question is we're going to know where the quarterback situation is going to lie here pretty quick and easy of who still has quarterbacks out there, who's going to maybe want to trade up to try to get a quarterback. I mean, that's going to be a reality. We're probably going to see some draft movements up or down within the next couple weeks too, I would assume is, for this upcoming draft. But well, all right, Dalen, anything else to add for first ever mock draft?
No, that was our first ever. Well, I think Wyatt did a pretty good job. Had about a week to figure out what he was going to do.
Zach actually asked me to list 3 days after.
Yeah, we made this weekend, but don't worry. Wyatt changed. He said, "Oh, it didn't turn out that bad. It wasn't too bad." He changed half of the picks that we had initially from Sunday until yesterday.
Franchise Tuesday came out and shit went down.
Well, yeah, and exactly. I mean, right after free agency, you never know. We might have to do a Y Guy 2.0.
We definitely will, and I think our plan is we're going to have that out kind of the week of the draft, actually. So right before, you're not going to have a ton of movement that within that last week. Probably you're going to have a lot of it in the next week or two. So we'll do another one here in a few weeks once we get to the draft. I think it's officially 50 days away today from the official NFL draft in 2024. Right? 25th. So it'll be exciting. It'll be a good time. We'll figure out what we're going to do when it comes to streaming or not, or maybe just a video. We'll let you guys know there. But hey, thank you guys all for watching this episode. I know it's maybe a little bit longer here, but it's our first official mock draft. It's mock draft season. We are in it. We are excited about it, and we're going to keep rolling here. Okay. So we'll see you guys in the next one.